Hello, everyone, and welcome to a Thursday night beer review, which I am dubbing the Hot and Muggy Beer Review. I suppose other greater things are happening in my life, but I don't want to go and talk about negative things in my beer reviews anymore because God knows there's enough negative things going on in the world nowadays. You don't need to hear about my personal ones as well. Anyways, what am I reviewing? I reviewed this at almost at the very beginning of my beer reviewing career. And what is notable about it is a major error I made during the review and even in the description, and that I called Kirin Ichiban a rice lager. 100% malts on the goddamn label. So it is not a rice lager. They don't use adjuncts in this particular flagship beer. I'm pretty sure that Kirin uses rice as an adjunct in other beers that they release. And why is this one of the first ones that I reviewed? Well, I really started regularly drinking beer when I was in Japan. And of course, Kirin, Ichiban, Sapporo, Asahi Super Dry, and of course Echigo, which had the widest amount of of my favorites. But I have to say my favorite Japanese beer, non-craft beer, of the four major breweries there was Kirin Classic, which is not released outside Japan. But Echigo had more beers that I liked overall of their line. This one, of course, not really, it's Japanese beer, but it's not brewed in Japan. It's contract brewed in the United States. Let's see here. In Los Angeles, California, and Williamsburg, Virginia. So I'm guessing this can came out of LA. 4.9 ABV, 5.0 ABV. It's listed as both on review sites. Not too much of a big difference there. So it's 100% malt. And this is probably the first time I've drank this particular beer in a very long time. Mostly because when I go to Japanese restaurants, I stick to sake. So, without much further ado, let's get to this in my broken Pilsner glass. That is exceedingly hard to clean on the bottom. You can see my hands are massive, so it is really difficult to clean the bottom of this glass. Should have checked for a date on this. Oh, 21st June 23. So that's probably the Best Buy day because it's nowhere near the 23rd of June. So knowing how these things work, it was probably brewed in June because they usually put a Best Buy date on about a year of these on. So a few months old. And wow, I was not expecting a head like this. It's overflowing here. Going on the floor. Going on the floor. Okay. Smells good though. Probably because it's pretty fresh. Beer is always better fresh, no matter what. Unless, of course, you're running into one of those high ABV beers meant for aging. Okay, so a nice golden yellow. Clear, nicely carbonated. Ooh, yeah, if you want to go and do a focus, yeah, get that nice beer commercial shot there. With a fizzy white head. With crackery malts. And grassy, herbaceous hops. Onto the palate now, shall we? Nice carbonation bite. And now I can see why, So I first reviewed this, started my beer reviewing career, well, just reviewing career in general, since I don't stick to only beers. But now I could, I would not see this. I would not mistake this for a rice lager. Rice lagers are bone dry. This is not bone dry. It is certainly dry, but not bone dry. It is dry as 100% malt pale lager would be. Maybe a little bit on the sweet side, actually. I wouldn't say sweet, but maltier side. So up front, bittering hops, then crackery to bready malts. Top note is the same as the nose, rather herbaceous, grassy hops. A light pepperiness in the front to mids. And again, some more bitterness in the finish. And fairly clean. Just a slight remnant top note. Goes down easy. Very refreshing. But again, unmistakably 100% malt, just from the breadiness, the thickness. Also, yeah, the mouth feels a little bit thicker too than the rice lager. But that breadiness in the mids there definitely makes it discernibly 100% malt to my palate. And that's about it. There's no deep complexity here. I'm not exactly sure why you would be looking for deep complexity in a mass market pale lager. But no real wrong notes either. In my original review, I kind of called this boring. But after so many years of drinking various beers, I've come to appreciate boring beers for what they are when they are well made. And this is well made. There's no outstanding notes, but it'll just pair well with just about anything. And it looks like my landlady's home. Expect some dog noises. But I think I've really covered all the bases with this beer. So, Kirin Ichiban, a perfectly acceptable order at a Japanese restaurant. I would not drink beer with sashimi. Sashimi 100% go with an appropriate sake. If you're just drinking for tasting, of course, go with sake. But if you're, say, like having shabu shabu hot pot, or what it is when they do the grilled meats, something like that, go for the beer. Decent enough. And honestly, when it comes down to it, there are no Japanese mass market macro lagers that are awful. Yes, there are ones that don't really have any dimensionality to it, that they've added so much rice as an adjunct that it's basically dryness personified. But you have to look at you have to look at the plus sides of that. When you have something like an Asahi Super Dry, that is excellent for clearing the palate when you are eating something that has strong flavors. And so it serves a purpose, even if it doesn't have much taste dimensionality to the beer itself. And these are lessons that I've learned over an extended period of reviewing drinks, of being very cognizant of what my palate is undergoing when I'm out drinking and eating at the same time. And so I've come to appreciate, simpler things after all these years. And so I appreciate this for what it is. And I think that anyone who goes through this journey of tasting will come to appreciate well-made things for what they are and not look to be ass blasted by flavor or, rarity or what have you every single time. And I guess that's the lesson I'm trying to impart here with this review, as well as correcting a major mistake in my original review. How many? So 2016, that would be 6 years ago. And that, folks, is your beer review for this evening. Cheers. Or should I say, Kampai.